Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news, and it's big news because we've got an exit from Manchester United. It's big news. We'll also be talking about transfer developments around Antony and also around Frenkie de Jong, as well as a few other bits as well. But our big breaking news this afternoon on the 2 o'clock show is that Dean Henderson is 99% sure of leaving Manchester United. It's big news. It's decisive news. We'll get into all that, but let me tell you where this news is coming from first of all. It should be coming on your screen. Dean Henderson is on the verge of joining Newcastle United. Sources say Henderson was in Newcastle for talks on Wednesday and a deal is 99% done. This is being reported by the Manchester Evening News. I think it's coming via Samuel Luckhurst, who is the founding member and president of the Dean Henderson fan club. So he would probably know this, and it's a very interesting development, as Seth says in the chat there. So Dean Henderson to Newcastle. We spoke about this a day or two ago, saying what a good deal it would be for Henderson, for Newcastle and for Manchester United. And Dean Henderson, 99% sure to be going to Newcastle. Now, initially this is meant to be a year-long loan deal, but it hasn't been ruled out that it'll be a permanent deal. I absolutely think this has to be a permanent deal. What benefit is it for Manchester United to give Dean Henderson to Newcastle on loan? Newcastle are a team that next year might be fighting for the Champions League spot. You don't know what they're going to do in the summer. Don't give them look, first thing, let's categorise this, right? First of all, good goalkeeper. I prefer De Gea, but he's a good goalkeeper, right? Second of all, we need to raise money this summer to boost our transfer budget. Why would you loan a player that's worth 30, 40 million pounds? Why would you loan a player to a club that's owned by a billionaire? Why would you loan a player to a club that might spend that money they're going to save getting a goalkeeper for free on other players that make them more of a challenger for us for top four? It makes no sense to do this loan deal at all. People will say, well, loan him out and in a year's time bring him back. He might take De Gea's place. Will he? Did that work with Sheffield United? Ultimately, sell him, maybe put a buyback clause in there, but sell him to get the money, make Newcastle spend money, and also, more importantly, so that we can move on. And he can move on. I don't want to see a loan deal. It doesn't make any sense to me to do a loan deal. Maybe some people disagree with me that. I don't know. Welcome to Members Club, Andrew T212. So thank you very much for joining there. So if you're joining, as it says below, Dean Henderson, 99% sure to be going to Newcastle. He's had talks this Wednesday in Newcastle about a move to Newcastle, funnily enough. And there's talk of it being a loan deal, but it's not been ruled out that it'll be a permanent deal. I think it has to be a permanent deal. To me, it's good to move him on. You can't have a season like that. But what do we really get out of a loan deal? Sell him, pocket the money, spend the money, boost the transfer budget. But don't let Newcastle have a good goalkeeper on a free so they can spend money elsewhere. They're bloody loaded. Take some of their money. Sell him up and up our budget, says Rest Up to Build Up. But yeah, look, personally, I'm very happy about this development. I think it's absolutely the correct deal for the player, for the club, for Newcastle. I think everybody wins. It would be wrong of me not to focus on some of the ridiculous stuff we've had, in my belief, going on over the last year. This sort of Henderson fan club that attacks De Gea, and then you get De Gea people who have to defend De Gea against Henderson, when the reality is I think everybody appreciates Henderson's a good goalkeeper. They just prefer De Gea, but the Henderson people have to clip up clips and this, that and the other. It's ridiculous, and at least that will stop. And if you are upset about Henderson going, I understand that. I do. I'm not even going to crack any jokes. But what really makes me laugh is that it's almost the first test for a section of our fan base who really like Dean Henderson, and one of the first acts Ten Hag's going to do is get rid of Henderson for a season, maybe permanently. It's almost like some of these Henderson fan club members are going to almost become Ten Hag out because he's going to get rid of the keeper. Now, I don't think it's at that extreme, but I've certainly seen stuff on social media going, oh God, what's Ten Hag doing this for? He's making a massive mistake, this, that and the other. And it's like, he's not even took over a training session. He's not even done his first game. He's not even done his first signing. And some people are pissed off with him because he's getting rid of Dean Henderson. I mean, at the end of the day, it's ridiculous. Like, Ten Hag is still this exciting manager. He's going to make decisions that you don't like, and he's going to make decisions I don't like. First game of the season, he might drop Bruno. I'll be like, I don't know whether I'd do that. I mean, I probably would at the moment. But look, maybe that's a bad example. But there will be things I don't agree with. There will be signings I don't agree with. But I'm going to get on board with them because you've got to get on board with Ten Hag. You can't say Ten Hag's getting rid of Dean Henderson and keeping De Gea. So, he's an idiot, this, that and the other. You can't do that. You can't. It's like marrying your dream girl and then not liking it because she goes to bed naked. I mean, some people would take that as a positive. But obviously some people... Henderson fans would want them in pyjamas. You know, I don't want you in the bed naked. It's time for sleep. I don't know. But everybody has different ideas on what should and shouldn't work. But it shouldn't take you away from the fact that it's your dream girl or dream boy if we've got females watching. Or actually, it could be a girl or a boy in many situations. I'm not going to get into that. But the point is that Erik Ten Hag is still the dream coach. He's going to make decisions. You're not going to necessarily agree with him. What if he walks in the door and says, I don't want Ronaldo. I want to get rid of Ronaldo. I think he's a bit of a problem. He's only got a year left. He's on a lot of money. He's a big influence. I think he's going to try and overrule me. I want rid of Ronaldo. I don't want that to happen. I don't want that. Get your pyjamas off. But if you know, you know. But the reality is, I don't want Ronaldo to go. But I'd have to go along with it because we're right at the start of a journey that me and you and many of us demanded Erik Ten Hag to be the manager. So let's not start falling away and falling out over minute things that we disagree. Henderson's not played any games this season. De Gea's been my player of the year. For most people, second player of the year. It's not a massive problem. Newcastle are the new United. You can get any price out of them. Honestly, they did spend 30 million on Chris Wood. There is no point in a loan deal. I just think that I agree with Akil on that. Henderson going on Newcastle on loan, deja vu. We did it with Sheffield United. What if he does well at Newcastle? Are we going to say come back? Are we going to then sell him in a year's time? What if he does bad? Are we going to have to his price comes down? So it's just logical. Cut your ties. Cut ties, sell him, and use that money. Dean Henderson's not played any football this year. He's not going to play any football next year if he's at Newcastle. That's 2 years where he's not played any football. Get the money in and buy a right back or buy another midfielder. We've got to be... I really hope it turns into a permanent deal. Can you see Ten Hag bringing a goalkeeper in since Henderson is leaving? And can you call me a prat? Says Adam. All right, Adam, you're a prat. I think he will want to bring a goalkeeper in. I think next season is going to be very interesting because there is no doubt that David De Gea tends to play... Well, David De Gea gets player of the season when United are crap. It's logical. Peter Schmeichel never used to get player of the year. I don't think he ever did because United were a good attacking side. De Gea wins a lot of player of the years because United are crap. What happens if we get good? If we get good, then David De Gea is going to be less busy. And if we get good, if he's less busy, we're going to play a higher line. And if we're playing a higher line, he's got to be quicker off his line. He's got to be better with the ball at his feet. I'm interested. Now is not the time to change De Gea. And I still believe that we can do a lot. Ten Hag can do a lot of work on De Gea's game. But I do agree over the next year or two, it's going to be very interesting if we become a better team. Can De Gea become a better goalkeeper in relation to his distribution? But the question is, we might not become a better team. We might be bad again next year, in which case we really need De Gea for his shot-stopping capability. So I think it's going to be an interesting couple of years for De Gea, but we shouldn't be looking to make the change at the moment. Henderson needs this move while he's still young, especially if he wants a serious contention for England, his affiliation. As I said, it's a great move for Dean Henderson to be Newcastle's number one in a team that's going to be definitely moving up. Probably going to be in the Champions League very soon as well. It's a good move for him. Drub, welcome to the Members Club and trust the manager in the process like Liverpool have done with Klopp, says Kevin. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Right, so yes, Dean Henderson has moved on. Not moved on yet, but it's 99%, which is very high. I mean, that is very high. If you've got a 99% chance of something happening, then that is very, very high. Very, very high indeed. Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted in the last few minutes. He says Manchester United are prepared to let Eric Bailly and Aaron Wan-Bissaka leave this summer. It depends on the proposals, but both have chances to leave the club. Somebody in the chat asked me to read that tweet out. I mean, basically, Eric Bailly and Wan-Bissaka might leave this summer. Hold the back page! Stop cooking the dinner! Breaking news! Bloody hell. Some people, we're better than that. We're better than that. We don't stop the flow of a show for that. Wan-Bissaka and Eric Bailly might leave. What's next? Phil Jones might leave as well. Come on. Newcastle are the new United. Yeah, we've done that one from Akil. Thank you very much. Clive says, Mark, thoughts on Jared Bowen? I would go all in for Bowen. I love Bruno, but Jared Bowen would bench Bruno all day. Well, Clive, Bowen plays off the right, so you wouldn't need to bench Bruno, would you? But I'd like Jared Bowen, but if they want £100 million for Declan Rice, I can't imagine what they're going to want for Jared Bowen. So yes, good news in relation to Dean Henderson, for him and for everybody else. Just very quickly, because I did put it up on Twitter before, and somebody was asking about it. The Goldbridge Hotter Meter. Where am I on transfers at the moment? So this is my top 4. Well, you can't see the 5th one. So Timber, I've gone up to 75% that deal will happen. I'm 75% sure. De Jong, 75%. Nunez, I'm still 50%. Antony, 40%, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now, it's very interesting when the Manchester Evening News are saying Henderson to Newcastle is 99%. It really brings it into context, doesn't it, below me? That you look at that and you go, ooh, Timber, 75%. That's quite high, Mark. It is quite high. But remember, Manchester Evening News have just said that Henderson to Newcastle is 99%. So it's pretty much, it's nailed on, isn't it? You can't say 99% and it not happen. I would keep Bailly, says Mikael Roach. Thank you very much for that. And whoever going, let it be. Whoever's going, let it be, says Ray Carl Brown Amori. Yes, I agree with that. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be. Just talking about Fabrizio Romano, there is another tweet that he put out earlier on. Darwin Núñez will leave Benfica at 100% this summer. And we're dealing in percentages a lot. 99%, 75%, we're up to 100%. Darwin Núñez will 100% leave Benfica this summer and has already communicated this to the club. Manchester United have discussed his name internally as early as March with Rangnick, but there is no official offer. So that's why I'm 50-50 on Darwin Núñez. I'm not convinced that it's definitely going to happen, but I'd like it to happen. And then James Ducker in The Telegraph, who is a journalist that I believe gets good information from the club. I think there's a selection of journalists in the UK that get well briefed by the club, and I think James Ducker in The Telegraph is one of those. So some interesting updates with him that we'd always take notice of. I'll read those in a minute, but first of all, Adam has done a super chat. He says, what would you think about Rico Henry? Love looked good against Everton. And also, look at Sangaré from PSV. Also left my girlfriend for you, says Arjun. Well, you know, I don't know what to say. I'm flattered. And Mark Telegraph said Antony will Ajax this summer. Mark Telegraph said Antony will Ajax this summer. I think he means leave Ajax this summer. You're all getting too excited in the chat. You're so happy that Henderson's leaving that you can't get your words out. Think of the Dean Henderson fan club. They're very big. I'm being sympathetic. You know, I am being sympathetic to them. I think that, you know, Newcastle is a good move for him. And I think that, you know, I think we need to get some money out of it. But look, there is an update from James Ducker in The Telegraph. He says Ajax Antony is expected to leave this summer, and Manchester United and Liverpool are among the clubs monitoring his situation. Now, look, I do not have any issue with that. I think it's been spoken. I've got a De Jong update for you as well. Thoughts on Milinkovic-Savic if De Jong deal falls through, says Sakin. So we'll talk about that in a minute, Sakin. I have the ability to come back to it. So Antony is expected to leave Ajax this summer. I think Ajax want to sell Antony because he's their big money one. They did it with David Neres, didn't they? And they didn't get the money they maybe could have done if they'd sold him a year or two earlier. So I think that they are sort of thinking that with Antony, he's probably at the peak of his powers, but he's not. He's not. I think he's only just 22. So they could have him for another year and he'd still be valuable to them. But I think they feel that this Ajax team has hit its peak. They're going to have to rebuild a new team. If it's a transitional season, will Antony be as good? Will they get as much money for him next season? So I think Ajax realise they can cash in big time for Antony this summer. And maybe what I said the other day about Ajax not being willing to sell 6 or 7 of their team, maybe I'm completely wrong about that. We know the right back's gone, Gravenberch, goalkeeper, Timber's probably going to go as well, and Antony probably will go as well. So there's a lot of players looking to move there. Do I think Man United will buy Antony? Well, the interesting thing is that, you know, some people are saying we shouldn't spend £70 million on De Jong, but then Antony's probably going to cost £60-70 million as well. The fact that Liverpool are looking at him shows you what sort of quality player he is. So I've got no problem if United do sign him. I've got to be honest, I don't know where people sit on this, but I'm actually quite relaxed about the Antony situation. And I suppose it goes back to what we were talking about, Ten Hag coming in and letting Henderson go. These are big decisions. And if Eric Ten Hag decides that Antony's really important and important enough to spend 60, 70 million pounds on him, that would surprise me. But I'd also be excited by that, because if you buy Antony and you've got Sancho, I think you've got two good wingers there, right and left. And suddenly, I think when I look at the players, when I look at that structure, when I look at Man United, I don't see enough good quality crosses coming into the box. And I think Ronaldo would like that. So I think that Antony and Sancho maybe Ten Hag looks at the situation and goes, all right, I've got Cristiano Ronaldo. I've had Sebastian Haller at Ajax, another big striker. I need to get good quality crosses into the box. The left-hand side, I probably can do it with Luke Shaw. I can do it with Sancho. The right-hand side, I'm not convinced about Wan-Bissaka and Dalot, and I'm not convinced about Rashford whipping crosses in. I need somebody on that left-hand side to put crosses in. Well, I know somebody who can do that. He'll do it all day. His name's Antony at Ajax. And maybe Eric Ten Hag will look at it like that. So I wouldn't rule out Antony, but I don't think it will happen. Mark, did you watch Bassi run in the Europa League? Over 6 foot, fast, strong and left-footed. I thought it was very impressive, Robin. Be very interested to see if any of these Rangers players do move from Rangers and maybe into the Premier League. Ricardo says, breaking news! Samuel Lucker submits transfer to force move to Newcastle. Evening News. Oh, yeah. Well, I think even Samuel would laugh at that. Apparently he does have a sense of humour. But, yeah. Look, he has been very vocal. I mean, can you talk, just going back to Henderson for a minute. It is really, there's a few people doing 2 + 2 = 4. It doesn't. 2 + 2 = Matic. I've told you so many times. But this morning there was a story from Andy Mitten saying that Manchester United have done a review into all the leaks around Manchester United and they're confident that they won't have these problems next season. A few hours later, Dean Henderson's 99% sure going to Newcastle. So people have gone, well, you've got an article saying that United are confident there's not going to be any leaks anymore. And then a few hours later, Dean Henderson's definitely leaving. And people go, oh, well, he's always been rumoured to be a leak in the dressing room. Is this why we're not getting any leaks anymore? Whether Dean Henderson's a leak or not, he wouldn't be the exclusively one leak. There's a lot of people leaking information from the club. So that doesn't make a massive amount of sense. But I mean, what does make a lot of sense is that a few years ago, well, was it last year? Can you remember the media last year? Like the Sky and BT were just homing in on De Gea constantly. They were desperately pushing the Dean Henderson thing, and so it wasn't just Samuel Lucas. To be fair, there was a lot of people doing that. But look, I think it's a good move for all parties, and I'm excited about it. Sky Sports News: Aaron Wan-Bissaka is leaving. I haven't seen anything about that, but I will certainly go and have a quick look at it for you. See if I can find anything about that. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, well, Romano has said it. Manchester United are prepared to let Eric Bailly and Aaron Wan-Bissaka leave. You know what? That one doesn't excite me as much as Dean Henderson. And the reason for that is very simple for me. That with Dean Henderson, in fairness to him, there is a goalkeeper that people will want and that people will want to spend money on. With Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we're on a hiding to nothing. We spent £50 million on him. What are we going to sell him for? I mean, that's a deal where a loan deal might make sense. I don't know what... I mean, the hit we're going to take on him. I mean, who would buy him? And 2, who would buy him? Yeah, I mean... sorry. Yeah, and 3, how much would they pay? High Quality Beef says 25 million, but I'll talk about Frenkie de Jong in a minute, Ronan. So yeah, look, if Aaron Wan-Bissaka leaves, that's a great bit of business by Manchester United, and I wish him all the best. At times, I've really backed Wan-Bissaka and thought he could turn it around, but I just don't think he's. I think he'd have had more chance under Pochettino. I think as soon as Eric Ten Hag was appointed, I thought that's the end of Wan-Bissaka. He's just not going to work. Crystal Palace are interested. Maybe Newcastle will take him, says WF Raspberry. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But keep your eyes on that. I think it would be, if we can get some money back for him, it would be good. So James Ducker in the Telegraph goes on to say more meetings are planned at Manchester United for the coming days and in Manchester next week as the club look to push ahead with summer transfer plans. As I understand it, Erik ten Hag and Michael van der Gaag are in London until the weekend, where they'll take in the Palace game. They're talking to higher ups in the United structure. And then next week he'll come to Manchester and be talking to Rangnick. So that's my understanding of what's going to be happening over the next week. And they do want to pin down their transfers. Also, next, Manchester United are chasing midfielders, versatile forwards, a centre-half and potentially even a right-back this summer. Again, this is from the Telegraph and James Ducker. I would say this is coming from the club. I do believe James Ducker does have good connections with the club. And I do believe that this is pretty much a strong brief that's coming out from the club. And they won't mind this. They'll be actually quite happy that this is out there. We are looking for a centre-back. We are looking for midfielders. We are looking potentially for even a right-back and versatile forwards. Now, that versatile forwards is quite interesting because versatile forwards, if you want Nunez, would push you more towards Nkunku because Nkunku is a versatile forward. So focus on that, versatile forwards. Richarlison is a versatile forward as well. So maybe Nunez won't be versatile enough. Now, he has played off the left, but I see him... Can he do that? Some people describe him as the next Cavani. Cavani spent a lot of his career playing off the left, especially at PSG. So, look, let's not rule anybody out at the moment, but versatile forwards is quite an interesting term. Lucas, welcome to the Members Club. If you want to join the Members Club, click the join button. You get your little badge and exclusive content. You've voted for your next video, actually. So your next exclusive video, which you get weekly, will be out tomorrow. It's a good one. I've been doing the research on that, so it'll be up tomorrow. And Nkunku is better, says Monish. So, yes, and yeah, I've just popped it in here. It's come out a few minutes ago, and we'll pop it up on the screen for you. Manchester United will allow Aaron Wan-Bissaka to leave this summer. Thought he won't figure in Erik ten Hag's plans. That's coming from Sky Sports. Slow Sport... I can't help myself. Slow Sports News. And Manchester United would prefer a permanent deal for Wan-Bissaka, but won't rule out a loan, provided it comes with a serious option or obligation to buy. So that may be what Manchester United have to do, and that's coming from Sky Sports. So we've had quite a few good updates, haven't we? James Ducker, who's not really said anything for a while, he's always worth listening to around United because he's got good contacts. Dean Henderson, 99% sure to be going to Newcastle. Big news that is. And now we're getting that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not part of the plans as well. So I think the interesting thing here is, and I'm glad we've got 15,000 people watching, and I'm glad we're going to be saying this about 20 minutes into the show, because it probably deserves to be at the start of the show, but it also deserves to be heard by the hardcore viewers who watch the entire show. There is a message here. David, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. And Erik ten Hag isn't messing about, says the Tribal Chief, who's been a member for 2 months. There is a message here, and the Tribal Chief has probably just hit up on it a little bit. I'm going to talk about Milinkovic-Savic and De Jong in a moment. But analyse this. Erik ten Hag has only just started as Man United manager. He was managing Ajax on Sunday. He's not met the players. He's not trained the players. And yet, Dean Henderson and Aaron Wan-Bissaka are surplus to requirements before he's even trained the team. Remember what I said on that video yesterday morning? Don't make the mistake of giving out second chances. Certain players need to be moved on, and they're being moved on. Now, the interesting thing here is some people want to undermine the inputs Ralf Rangnick has. How can Ralf Rangnick not have an input and Erik ten Hag can be going, yeah, let's get rid of Dean Henderson, let's get rid of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, let's get rid of Eric Bailly? They've already had the chat. I don't think that will be released publicly, but there's already been a chat. It may not have even been face to face. It may have been through Murta. It may that may be how it's happened. But what manager comes into a club and within 4 days is moving players on without training them? Decisions are being made, and Ten Hag is taking guidance and trust from the Rangnick era. And this is good. This is what needed to happen. They needed this to happen. I'm surprised at how quick this Henderson deal is going to happen, how quick Wan-Bissaka is surplus to requirements. But United know they've got to be quick, and therefore there's got to be trust. And what I like about what's going on at United is there's clearly a path of trust from Rangnick to Murta to Ten Hag. And obviously you've got the peripheral people around that. You've got Fletcher, you've got Van der Geeg, McLaren will come into that group, Richard Arnold will be above that group. But it seems to me we've got a triangle of trust. And you've got Rangnick, who's experienced the issues for the last 5 months. You've got Murta, who's experienced the problems for the last year. And you've got Ten Hag, who's just coming in. And that is how it needed to work. If we want to be efficient and quick, that's how it needed to work. And anybody who says that's not the case, how the hell is Erik Ten Hag coming in and saying, yeah, let Henderson go, let Wan-Bissaka go? He's never even trained them. He's utilising the experience and knowledge within that club, which is great because it's showing straight away that Rangnick, Murta and Ten Hag are working well from day one. And this is what we needed, says Antony. I agree. Welcome to the Members Club, Raheel. Thank you very much for joining. And what would the next season's potential starting team look like, says Alexander. Well, I will do a video on that. I just want to grab a little bit more about, probably not going to do it for another week or so, because I just want to get a little bit more firm, not in that way, on what our targets are and who's going. But I can pretty much tell you, I can pretty much figure out that De Gea is going to be in goal. Varane will be a starting centre-back. Can't really tell you who the left centre-back's going to be at the moment. Left-back will probably be Shaw. Right-back, I don't know at the moment. Midfield, I don't know. Ronaldo will be up front. And I think Sancho will be off the left. So you can only pick half the team at the moment. So we're not quite there. Glad to see United plan on using options and obligations to buy on loan deals, not these stupid try before you buy arrangements that do nothing for the club. Exactly, Mac. Well, we could have Pereira coming back this summer because of that. If we do deals quickly this window, that's a very positive sign for the rebuilds, as Akil. Yeah, and I also agree, Akil, that we can all focus on incomings, but it's also very important that we do focus on the outgoings. That's really important as well. Outgoings, if we can get them done at the same time. United under Woodward and Matt Judge had this obsession of doing one deal at a time. Whether it was an ingoing or an outgoing, it was that. We need to become a modern club that can do multiple deals at the same time. If Rangnick is having an impact on these decisions, could it raise the potential for Rashford to leave, says Stephen? I don't think Rashford will go. I don't think so. I imagine Ten Hag would probably take if Rangnick said you should sell Rashford, I think Ten Hag would be right to say, I need to have a look myself first. I respect what you're saying about other players, but I think in relation to him, we've got to make sure we're making the right choice on that one. I'm trying to work and watch the show. I'm sending a super chat so we know I ain't working. Love the channel, dude. Greetings from South Africa, says Emil. Thank you, Emil. Anil, welcome to the Members Club. And since Warren Wan-Bissaka is going, shouldn't this mean Spence is targeted right? I mean, we were linked to him a couple of weeks ago, says Ty. I will be able to tell you, I can tell you in relation to Spence, I mean, it's not breaking news, but I can categorically tell you that Spence is, I mean, there was links of him going to, I think it was Germany, I think it was actually Bayern Munich. There was reportedly interest from there, but obviously they've bought the Ajax fullback. So, but with Spence, he's Middlesbrough right back on loan at Forest. No decision will be made about him until the the Championship playoff final, which is a week on Sunday. So we can inquire, other clubs can inquire, but there will be no decision made about him until after that game. So, and also I think that fits in with United anyway, because that deal could happen very quickly because he'll go for about 15 million quid. And also, I mean, I'd love that deal to happen. I mean, it's a risk. Some people think he's not good enough. I do. I think he's got the upward curve. I think he's got so much potential. I'd love it to happen, but we'll have to wait and see with that one. Hi, Mark. Sorry if this has been covered, but if we get De Jong, what happens to Donny? Can we play them both, or will Donny be back on the bench, as Ryan? Donny might bench Bruno, mate. Donny needs to get back fit, come back to Manchester United, work hard. Let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to the pre-season games. I'm not bothered about the results. I don't care about winning. I'm looking forward to the pre-season games because I'm looking forward to how we're going to play. He might pick a team that's got a load of youth players in it. He might pick. It might just be about fitness, but it'll be also it's the way we play. I'm not bothered about who plays in the pre-season games. We probably won't see our strongest team in pre-season. You very rarely do. But what we will see is patterns of play. That's the exciting thing for me. I just can't wait to see games of football that Erik Ten Hag is managing us. The board need to get the Nunez deal done, as I fear we're going to end up with Richarlison, says Affiliation. I've got absolutely no no, what's the word? Idea. I've got absolutely no doubt that Richarlison is a target for Manchester United. I actually can see why he might be an option for Manchester United, but we'll have to see. If we buy Richarlison, I'll have to learn how to pronounce his name properly. I will back him. I never wanted Fellaini, I backed him. I never wanted Matic, I backed him. I didn't really want Lukaku, I backed him. Whether I get proved right or wrong doesn't matter. I want to get proved wrong. I just don't feel it's the right deal for United, but he will get full backing because that's what United fans do. So again, it goes back to the Henderson thing. There'll be some people disappointed that Henderson's leaving. I'd be disappointed if we bought Richarlison, but I wouldn't make me think anything worse of Ten Hag. I'd be like, well, look, if that's what he wants and he agrees to it, get the deal done. Get the deal done. Red in Team Talk and Express, Ten Hag looking at right back Dest from Barcelona. Nah, I don't believe that, Sam, but we'll see if it develops. Andrew Rossi says, Mark, given Barcelona's financial issues and their pursuit of Lewandowski, can they even afford to keep De Jong? Andrew, thank you very much for the super chat, and thank you very much for moving it onto a topic that I need to talk about. So, look, there's a couple of stories coming out about De Jong. They're both very low tier sources in Spain. One of them said if Barcelona receive an offer of 60 million from Man United, they'll take it. And another one was saying that it's still very advanced between Manchester United and Barcelona. So I feel that these sources are not great, but it's still furthering the story. And what that means is that in Spain, this story's not been put to bed. No matter what the source is, it's not been put to bed. It's not been put to bed here. And that is why I'm still 75% on this deal. So we'll see what happens. But I think, as Rossi said, the reality is that we know that Barcelona at this moment in time need to raise money. They want to be active in the transfer window and they need to pay their debts. So they need to be active in the outgoings transfer market. And Frenkie de Jong is probably the biggest asset they've got that they would move on. If they want 60 million, I'd pay that. I said that last week. I wouldn't pay any more because I think we can drive a hard bargain, but I would pay that. I would. I think that Jacob Angus, welcome to the members club. Mark, when do United play after Crystal? When do United play after Crystal Palace game? Says Stephen. They don't. It's the end of the season, mate. I don't want to upset you, but it's the last game of the season. I think we play again. I think it's July the 12th. We're playing Liverpool in the pre-season, if that's what you mean. So yeah, I would take. I mean, Scott Hutchinson says 50 million with add-ons. I mean, look, Frenkie de Jong is probably worth, in the current market, 75, 80 million. They paid 65 for him. He's only just turned 25. So 60 million is a cheap deal, but I think it's a fair deal because they're desperate for money. So somebody was saying to me that, we should avoid this deal because we've got to prove that we're not going to make the mistakes of the past. And I said, but Frenkie de Jong for 60 million is a bargain. Like, 100 million on Declan Rice is a mistake of the past, if you think it's a mistake of the past. 80 million on Maguire was too much. 50 million pounds on Wan-Bissaka was too much. But de Jong for 60, that's a good deal. The only issue with that is how much of your budget have you got left? But 60 million for de Jong is a very good deal. I'd be surprised if that happens, but we'll see. We had a meeting regarding de Jong yesterday with Barcelona's board. They said it was really positive, says Mario Franco. And Mark, would you do a show where you go through top free transfers and bargains of the summer and say if they are good enough or might come, says Daniel. Well, it's interesting you say that, Daniel, because I heard Thomas Frank talking about Christian Eriksen, and he basically said that they're confident that he's going to stay, and that if he does stay, there'll be a statue out of him outside the club in 2 or 3 years. So I think Eriksen's very happy at Brentford, and he may well stay, and I respect him if he does. But if he's not staying there, maybe that's a player that United would look at. But Brentford want to keep him. They seem quite confident that they can keep him. And Christian Eriksen had it was a life and death situation in the Euros a year ago. He's probably just happy to be playing football. He might have the mindset that, look, Brentford gave me a chance. They're happy with me. I'm happy here. I'm just happy to be playing. I'm happy to be alive. Could you begrudge Eriksen staying at Brentford? And if he decides to do that, all the best. If he doesn't, maybe he becomes a player for United. Milinkovic-Savic I was asked about. I do not believe Milinkovic-Savic is a player that Man United are looking at. There are lots and lots of people talking about it. most of it coming from Italy. I think Lazio want to move him on. I don't think a Premier League club will look at him. I really don't. I don't think United will be in for him. I really do think it's just use United to generate interest, which we will get. We're going to get that a lot. There are agents out there who are using us to generate interest in their player. 100%. So I don't think there's anything in Milinkovic-Savic. How many times have the club paid the United markup for players? It's time we got a good deal, says Andrew Rossi. Exactly, yeah. We've overpaid and undersold for years. I really hope we don't sign Nkunku. He's too selfish on the ball. We need an old-fashioned striker to hold up the play like Nunez, says Mike Angelo. Well, there you go. And, sorry. What about Brandon Williams at right-back, says Ben. I do think Brandon Williams would be better off playing off the right because he's right-footed, but he seems to think that his best position's the left, and that's where he enjoys it more. I personally hope I get proved wrong on this, but I don't think Brandon Williams is good enough for a top 4 club. I know he's had a reasonable season at Norwich, but he's not had a great season at Norwich. He's had bad games at Norwich. I don't think he's ready to play first-team football for Manchester United. But there is no doubt that he's talented. There's no doubt that there has been glimpses at times. Maybe Erik ten Hag can turn him into something special. I'm not convinced that he's that level, but hopefully he will be given a chance, and we'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. I mean, what you could do with Brandon Williams, and nobody's spoken about it, is you could just sell him for 15 million. No, nobody's mentioned that. We're trying to move this budget up from 125 to 200. You could sell Brandon Williams tomorrow for 15. Easy. Maybe a little bit more. There'd be loads of clubs that would want Brandon Williams for about 15 million quid. So we could, there's a player we could sell there. So nobody's really talking about that either. So there are options, definitely. Right, we're back at 8 o'clock tonight. It's not a 7 o'clock show. It's an 8 o'clock show tonight because there's no watch along that I'm doing. So 8 o'clock tonight. I'm also doing a film watch along on Twitch. If anyone's interested, tonight at 10:30, I'll be live on Goldbridge TV for a film watch along. If you've never watched those before, we did Jaws last week and we're doing Jaws 2 this week, which I haven't watched for years. So it's going to be good fun. So join me on Twitch if you want to for that at 10:30. I'll be tweeting it out about Mark Goldbridge. Thanks everyone who's joined the Members Club. We've got our new video coming out tomorrow. It's a cracker. It's really good. If you want to check some out of the old stuff, get your badge next to your name. Thanks for supporting us and being a member. Really appreciate it. It's nice to give something back. And we've got some exciting stuff to put up on the members section actually over the next month or so. But you can get all your latest reaction, news and breaking news as normal on the United Stand. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner, because you never know when a story's going to come out. 99% Dean Henderson's leaving and we'll go live. So subscribe, bottom right hand corner, smash a like on the video. Take care, and I'll speak to you all in a bit. Surash says, I definitely get Eriksen. Bruno needs a break. Do you think we can sell Ahmad, and for how much? Ahmad's an interesting one. There's a few players like that. I think there's a show in itself there. What do you do with Ahmad? What do you do with Palestri? What do you do with Chong? There's a lot of players that you've almost got to do something with, isn't there? I don't do career mode on a Thursday. Sorry, I should have said that. I'm doing Jaws 2 watch along tonight, which will be great because I'm terrified of sharks. Speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching.